defense lining up and fitting proper gaps every single time. And doing your assignment, not somebody else's. And there's a lot of things we need to improve on offensive line play, and pass need to be lower, and all of those things, which we'll work on. But that would be number one, is just making sure that we eliminate explosive plays because we're not lined up properly or not doing our assignment.
Hugh, Laquan said after the game on Saturday that this team's done a good job of not looking ahead at all. That last year, maybe sometimes they got a little ahead of themselves looking to bigger games. Have you seen kind of a, good, strong sense of focus, I guess you could say, on every weak opponent not looking ahead?
That's what they're being preached. I assure you, I don't talk about anybody but the opponent we have, and I can't afford to look ahead. And hopefully they take that. Our coaches listen to what I'm saying, and they do the same. And it's really not about the opponent. It's really about us preparing ourselves to be the best we can be on that given Saturday. And if that's good enough, great. And if we play our best and it's not good enough, I can live with that also. I don't like it. No one does, but that's part of the life in this conference. Is you just want to have the laser focus to make sure you're preparing the way you need to prepare to be your best on Saturday, and then let the chips fall where they may, and hopefully you played your best. And I can certainly live with that.
Hugh, you guys obviously got a pretty good look at Derrick Henry last year, but what's the challenge of preparing to face a back that's that big? I mean, not you guys, but every defense, what do you have to do to slow them down?
Well, they have a good scheme, and they have a good offensive line, and they're well coached, and they'll have a great plan to attack whatever you're doing. And Derrick Henry is very talented. So is 17 and 34 and 88 and 13. They've got playmakers that make them who they are, which gives them some explosive runs from those guys. So it's not just him, but you've got to tackle him low. He's big and physical. But you also have to be aware where 17 is and all their other weapons.
Hugh, I was just curious if you guys have reviewed the T. Shepard play, if there's anything further with that, and then I guess I'll be the dummy that asks for any kind of an update on the timetable when you might hear something on Larry.
I talked to the SEC office this morning, and the targeting calls stands, and he'll have to sit out the first half and be in the locker room for the first half, and they can play the second half. And we made a statement on Laramie last week, and that's really all I can say at this point.
We'll take questions up top.
Coach, what's your impressions and thoughts on Alabama's front seven and their defensive line and their back end?
As talented as I've ever seen, as deep and as talented as I've ever seen a defensive squad, and they've had some really good ones. This is as talented as I've seen one.
Coach, coaches like Nick and Kirby can eventually adapt to the tempo and the dinks and dunks, but when you really talented vertical teams like you, do you think there's a defense that can really stop them for 4 quarters?
This one that they have has a pretty good chance to stop most anybody, probably, if there is one. And, again, I think we're confident. I think we like what we're doing, and we haven't done it yet in an environment like that where we can't communicate. Everything's going to have to be silent, and that changes us a little bit. We've got to adapt to that this week in practice and make sure we can still do and be who we are and want to be, in communicating that way. But, I think we have the ability to certainly stress defense a little bit if we can stay balanced. If you can't stay balanced, absolutely, they can stop you. So we've got to find a way to stay balanced.
Any more questions up top? Okay, we'll take questions on the phone. If you have a question on the phone, you can fire away. All right, anything in here?
I'm not trying to stir anything up, but are you surprised to see Alabama run tempo as much as they opposed it 2 or 3 years ago?
I think they're like 86 plays average or something, and that's quite a bit more than we've had. So I don't know that they oppose oppose it anymore, yeah, obviously, and, they're throwing passes off runs, also, you know, and so, it looks a lot like us play, and other teams, so they're in the tempo and run pass options and all those things that have been on the table, so it's good to have them come on our side with that, for sure. It's good in some ways, and then it's not good that we have to stop it.
Does Alabama's defense change at all schematically, or how they play in the time you've been in the conference, or are they just same old Alabama?
It's not gonna change a lot, you know, you're gonna get your mixture of odd and even fronts. And they got guys that can two-gap you one play and then get on the edge on the next play. Their back end's gonna keep you guessing whether it's man or zone, and they disguise their things well. But it has not changed a lot, and they probably don't